Okay, day 37. It is 4:42 p.m. for me. Never got that email in the early afternoon that they needed people. This is a day off for me. So I was just planning on going in at 6 o'clock. I was actually going to leave in not that long. Probably leave in like 30 to 45 minutes. Clock in at 5:45 for the 6 o'clock shift. Just got an email 7 minutes ago. They need dealers for everything. Cash, Hold'em, horse. Probably not the 11 a.m. Hold'em tournament. 11 a.m. was a Hold'em tournament. Can't imagine they still need people for that. At 6 o'clock, though, another Hold'em tournament is starting. 42 minutes ago, at 4 o'clock, a horse tournament started, and it says they also need people for cash. So no idea what I'm going to deal. Probably be horse or cash games, I would imagine. So I'm going to get dressed, and instead of going in like 40 minutes, I'm going to go in right now. I'll meet you back here and tell you what I dealt. Also, hilarious story. This will be the main thing when I come back. I will tell you what happened. A guy late in day one of the main event, he got so mad that people were calling the clock on him. Great story. That guy should be banned for life from poker, but he isn't. But anyway, he's destroying poker, and people should be calling the clock on him all the time. I'll tell you that story when I get back. All right, just got back. Got pretty close to 5 hours. It was pretty hectic when I got there. The 11 a.m. was going on. Registration was still open. Horse had just started, and we were like an hour away from the 6 p.m. No Limit event starting. So a lot going on. Registration on everything closed. Horse, they don't have a ton of chips, and even though it's like a lot of the games, or I mean all the games, are fixed limit, people, it often creates like more action than No Limit. No Limit you just like fold for hours. Like fixed limit, it's like, oh, it's only 600. Oh, it's only 600. Oh, it's only 1200. But that adds up, and they don't start so deep. So those tables were breaking pretty quickly. I left, I guess it was about 6 hours after it started. It was down to 31 players. 18 got paid, so that was about done. I think the 11 a.m. morning tournament was very close to being in the money also. But anyway, I think I told you, I was going to tell you the story about the guy who should be banned for life from poker. This was flight 1G of the main, very close to being done for the day. And if you survive day one, then you come back for day two. So very close to making it into day two, which was in the money. If you made it to day two, you got paid. This guy raises under the gun. Not a very big raise. A lot of people at that table were going min. I think this guy went like 2.5x. Player, I think he was in the cutoff, called, and it gets to the small blind. Who tanks? Don't care if you do it every hand. Like, it was a long time for a pre-flop decision for 2.5 blinds, and he was in the small, so it was 2 more blind. It's like, I'm not saying the only times there are like tough decisions or close decisions are when there are huge bets, but just couldn't imagine this being like all that tough. Like, clearly he wasn't folding. Whatever is the better move of call or raise, like whichever one is better, the worst one is not an awful decision. Like it wasn't like a close decision where the right decision and the wrong decision were like gonna result in like massively different results. He thought forever. Someone calls the clock. I call the floor over. He gets 30 seconds. Awesome that he gets 30 seconds, not a minute. He gets 30 seconds with like 2 seconds left. He calls. Okay. So they go to the flop, 3-way, the big blind folded. They go to the flop 3-way, I think it was like 9-8-4. He checks the original raiser, bets, I don't know, not huge, maybe like 3 big blinds, like about the same bet as he bet pre-flop. The guy in the middle folds, and now back to the small blind, and he tanks again. And after about 2 minutes, and oh, there was a reason we knew it was about 2 minutes. After about 2 minutes, a different guy calls the clock. And I call the floor, and while the floor is walking over and as the floor is there, the guy is going crazy. He throws a tantrum. He just keeps, because a tournament clock was very close to us. One of the TV monitors was very close to our table. It was like right there in front of us. And the guy just keeps saying, it's only been 2 minutes. It's only been 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. I've been looking at the tournament clock. I've only been thinking for 2 minutes. Dude, if you think 2 minutes per street is not enough time, how long is this hand supposed to take? 2 minutes isn't enough. He doesn't feel like people should be calling the clock yet. What, 3 minutes? If he gets 3 minutes, I mean, I'm sure this guy's an entitled piece of garbage, but if he gets 3 minutes, why doesn't the Razor get 3 minutes per decision? Why doesn't the guy in the middle get 3 minutes per decision? Are 3 players each supposed to get 3 minutes to think per street? Is this hand supposed to take over a half hour? It is insanity that he thinks 2 minutes per street. He needed the clock called on him twice, pre-flop and on the flop, because each time he took about 2 minutes before he was forced to do something. I don't care what his cards are. That is insane. If it's too much money that's on the line that you can't make a decision on any street in under 2 minutes, you shouldn't be playing the tournament. If you're going to do this like ever and have this result, I'm not saying this guy tanked every hand. I mean, there are people who tank every hand. That's annoying also. This guy wasn't tanking every hand. I don't care that it was a one-time thing. It was like so much time he spent for each decision. The fact that he thinks he wasn't given enough is shocking. Poker Room should be banning him for life. He just should decide, he should like pick another hobby, because this isn't for him. If he thinks 2 minutes pre-flop isn't enough time, he was kind of mad the clock was called pre-flop, and if he thinks 2 minutes on the flop after the clock was already called, the floor didn't know what was going on. The floor came over and said, "Is this the same hand?" I said, yeah, same hand, it's the next street though. Clock was called again. And when the floor said, did you have enough time? I really wanted to say, yes, he's had an eternity. This is ridiculous. I just said yes. It was awful. Awesome that people called the clock. And the guy folded. I think he made his own decision to fold before time ran out. He only got 20 seconds the second time. Awesome. All floor people should do that. I don't care what the rules say. All floor people should do that. If the clock needs to be called on the same person, every time you walk over, the floor should give the guy fewer seconds. Now, at some point, you reach like a bottom limit. I guess, like, if I were the floor and I kept getting called over, I guess I would never go under 5 seconds. You know, 30, then 20, then 10, then 5. And for the rest of the night, every time I'm called over, 5 seconds. I mean, to get called over and give the guy 1 second doesn't really make any sense, but fewer and fewer seconds every time. That's how you get people to stop tanking. So, there are other ways. I mean, you could berate them mercilessly, which some people do. Yeah, but that was insane. That he thought 2 minutes per street was not enough time. Unfortunately, I did see him in the room during the day 2 restart on Sunday. So unfortunately, he cashed, and he has that much more money to go play other tournaments and ruin them the best he could. But that was shockingly bad. Like, I get if you're like mildly annoyed that someone called the clock because you wanted more time, but to like throw a tantrum and keep saying it's only been 2 minutes. Like, I was actually trying to think earlier, I wonder how many times in my life I took 2 minutes on all 4 streets combined. I don't know, maybe like 20 times in like 14,000 hours? I don't know, it's a rough estimate. I don't keep track of that, but that he thought 2 minutes pre-flop and another 2 minutes on the flop. Like, the flop didn't change much, man. Like, all this thinking pre-flop should have been part of your decision-making process on the flop. Like, what was he thinking about pre if he absolutely had to start all over from scratch on the flop? Like, that was bad. So yeah, good thing that floor came over again. Fewer seconds. He folded. He did not win the hand. I don't know. Maybe I wanted him to call so we could lose more. I don't know. But people like that should be banned from poker. And remember, rice is a spoon food.